Hi, this is Zach here with the US Chartbreakers here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Tuesday, the 9th of April. Starting off with the S&P, which is well entrenched within this rising trend channel, which has been in place since the beginning of October. The main highlight, the way that we haven't been below the 50-day moving average since the first week of November. And even on the latest rug pull, we've managed to find support in the 5150 zone. While we're above that, looking for the top of the rising trend channel from the end of last year as high as 53.50, and that could happen as soon as the end of this month. Obviously, May would be maybe a better target time, but at the moment, still the chance of heading as high as that. Below 51.50, the 50-day line currently around 50.80, and that would be the notional support, and also near the rising trend channel floor. Moving on to the Nasdaq, which didn't manage to avoid the 50-day line in the way that the S&P did, but here we're still hoping for a decent consolidation at and around the 50-day line, 17,900. Above that, looking for the top of the rising trend channel from back in October here as high as 19,200 to be hit as soon as the end of this month, or again going into May. On the downside, the worst we expect now is 17,400 in the floor of that rising trend channel. Interesting to see the RSI just on the right side of neutral 50, so potentially a accumulation point here near that 50-day line. Moving along to the stocks, and one of yesterday's flyers coming up now is Auddia, and here you can see that we gapped up after obviously quite an extended bear run for the shares. As you can see, historically there have been one-day wonder spikes, so we had one of those back in February, and there's a chance that this could be another one of those, but at least while we're above the previous support here, the end of February, beginning of March support around $3.10 on an end of day close basis, we could spike towards $6 plus again, which is basically post-January, February resistance. Moving on to another riser, and hopefully A-Mark will deliver the goods, given that the clue is in the name, A-Mark precious metals, and precious metals doing well, especially gold at the moment, and copper. Here we've got a rising trend channel in place since the beginning of last year, the top of the channel heading towards the 44.80 mark, and that's valid while we hold above yesterday's support around $35 on an end of day close basis. Nice rebound there off the 50-day moving average late last month, and then obviously the gap higher through neckline resistance in the mid to low 30s for that stock. Next up is a new name, and here we've got ALTC acquisition. Massive move to the upside. There is a resistance line projection from back in May last year. That's running around the $16.40 area. We're obviously already above that. It means that there's the scope for the upper parallel of that resistance line, which is currently heading towards $19.30 by the end of this month. Ideally, we stay above the mid-range point of yesterday's price action, which is around the $15 area. On to one of the stocks that we were hoping would do well, and Destiny Tech has done that. What's interesting here is that we had an estimated price channel top line heading towards the $100 area, and if you look closely, you can see basically the market hit that right on the head, 105, the high yesterday. So don't think you'd see that anywhere else in terms of people charting the market. We'll wait and see how the situation develops further, but certainly a lap of honor there of sorts. On to another stock which has had quite a lot of coverage here, Dogness, and here there's a barrier there around the $10 mark, but an end of day close above that, and we could be looking at the upper parallel of that rising trend channel from October, currently pointing to a target as high as $16, and we could see that by the end of next month, while we remain above the $8 area. A stock which I covered a few days ago, and I've covered a couple of times, is eHome Household Service, and here the potential of a rising trend channel base. What's interesting is that the shares have consolidated well after the gap to the upside that we had at the end of last week, and above that gap at $2.35, looking for up to $5 at the top of that rising trend channel from the end of January. Hopefully we could hit that by the end of this month. Another stock which may be a decent mover over the near term is Etao International. Here we've got a rising trend channel base, bear trap turnaround there, and looking for a retest of $7.50, which is the top of that channel from January, while we're above the 50-day line, currently around the $3.90 zone on an end-of-day close basis. Fingermotion is next, and here you can see that we've got this beautiful W-shaped turnaround, a sort of cross between a W-shaped turnaround and a saucer, and basically breaking the neckline there, the middle of the W, $3 above that, looking for $4 by the end of this month or even sooner. Another stock which has had a good coverage here is Meta Materials, and here waiting for these shares to finally break that falling wedge that's been in place for quite some time, since December. The level in question around, let's call it $3.70, $3.90 rather, and while we're above that, if we can break that on an end of day close basis, the target here could be as high as $10 by the end of next month. Obviously you can see pre-market we're already above that level, so looking rather encouraging, especially when you look at the bounce off RSI 50 and the bounce off the 50-day line again. Both of those tend to be leading indicators on the upside. New name coming up next, and here you can see that MYMD Pharma is trying to turn around. We've got a triangle base formation here, falling triangle. The target here, while we're above recent support around $2, would be up to the 50-day line at the top of that triangle at $3.40, hopefully later this month. The stock which hopefully will be able to get its act together is Outset Medical. Here you can see that got a turnaround. We've broken the falling wedge there around the $2.30 level. Above that, looking for the 50-day line, initially $2.90, and hopefully as high as $4 at the top of that triangle from January by the end of next month. Moving on to the last two, Superior Industries, and here unfilled gap to the upside through resistance after a bear trap towards $2.80. The view at this stage is we can head up to the top of that rising trend channel from back in April, May last year, currently heading towards the $4.80 level, and looking for that over the next few sessions, especially while we remain on the right side of $4, which was the resistance for the stock back at the beginning of August. Finishing off with Techprecison, and here W-shaped reversal with a gap on the right-hand side, 50-day line already rising, and the view is that while we remain above recent resistance around $4.20, the shares could head up to $6.70 later this month. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.